The past 5 years or so, I've spent quite a bit of time flying the Ju-88A4 around in multiplayer servers, so I was very curious about the C-6 and any new tricks it might bring to the table. I've been messing with it quite a bit since it was released recently, and overall, I like what I'm seeing. As a ground attack platform, it definitely has a place in the Axis Ground Attacker Toolkit. As a heavy fighter, well, the key word is heavy, but we'll get to those points in a minute. The first thing you'll notice is that annoying and worthless cockpit machine gun is gone, finally giving you a clear view of the 1 and 2 o'clock, and you can finally see both your ATA and RPM gauges. And just as cool, the bombardier and glass in the bottom cockpit section have been replaced with a big can of forward-firing whoop-ass, and the bomb sight has been removed. The rear view scenery looks a little different, but I wouldn't say rear visibility is any better. While the A4 offers a veritable smorgasbord of bomb loadouts and some truly massive 2,900 kilogram options of big and small bomb combinations, the C6 bomb options are fewer, simpler, but interesting nonetheless. You can take 2 SC250s or 2 SC500s or 2 SC1000s externally, and all three loadouts present the option to load up an additional 10 SC50s in the internal bomb bay. Surprisingly, taking extra SC50s with the 2 SC1000 loadout option is something you can't do in the A4, but in terms of big bombs, you're only taking 2 instead of the 4 to 6 bombs available on the A4. With the bomb sight gone, you have to set bomb salvo mode and bomb drop delay from the cockpit, and those switches have been moved to port side just behind the pilot seat. This is not a big deal if you're using TechnoChat, but if you're in a server like TAW, which doesn't allow TechnoChat, you have to know how to use these indicators. A friend of mine using VR told me he can see them perfectly from the gunner position, but my track IR won't let me get anywhere close to them. Now, I'm not the brightest bulb in the room when it comes to track IR, and I'll probably just have some fucked up settings, but the only way for me to see it is to turn around from the pilot position and cram my neck, and from that pretty crappy, less than ideal perspective, the bomb salvo settings look like this. And the bomb drop delay settings look like this. The most significant new feature is the forward-firing armament, and there is a lot of it. 3 MG17s and an MGFF in the nose, with the option to swap out the MGFF for an MG150-120, and 2 additional MGFFs in the lower gondola, replacing the bottom rear gunner, for a total of 3 7.92 MGs and 3 20mm cannons. It has a cannon ammunition counter located here that starts at 20, and as you fire, it cycles down to 60, at which point you have to reload just like you would in a BF-110E2. Following reload, the counter will cycle down to 0 and cannon ammo is finished. Since most of that firepower is located on the starboard nose and set at an elevation angle of minus 4.5 degrees, it takes a little practice to get used to and make accurate shots. As far as handling, with the dive brakes removed, it's a little lighter, a little faster, and climbs a little better and turns quite a bit better than the Ju-88A4. I don't know how much weight the additional front armor option adds, but it can't be a lot because there's not much of it. So what can you do with it as a ground attack platform? Well, it certainly is a capable train killer, and anything you miss with bombs you can shred with the cannons. All that firepower in the front also makes this aircraft a very capable flak strafer. And that's an important new feature because when a group of players attacks a fresh enemy target area heavily protected by flak, they generally need all hands on deck to strafe that flak, which has precluded the Ju-88A4 as an attack platform option in those situations. But the C6 can contribute to taking out that flak and do so very effectively. It's also a very capable tank buster when taking the wing bombs and the 10 SC50s. If you drop the SC50s as doubles, that's 7 total passes. And if you get enough to drop SC50s as singles, you get 12 passes. For me personally, it's much easier to get accurate drops compared to the Ju-88A4 because the C6 gun sight is positioned slightly lower. With the A4, I always have to look up over the sight and use some Kentucky windage when the tank disappears below the gun sight to gauge the right time to drop. But the C6 sight picture looks more like that of a BF-110, and I am very comfortable dropping bombs in the 110. So even dropping SC50s as doubles is not that hard, and even singles are possible with a little practice. And once you get the hang of aiming those front cannons at the driver compartment, it just shreds the shit out of the T7s and T70s. As a fighter aircraft, well, it is what it is, a Ju-88 with cannons on the front. It can obliterate anything that gets in front of it, but it's still a Ju-88 and completely outclassed in all performance capabilities by every single engine fighter in the game. It has exhaust flame suppressors for night fighter duties, and it may come into its own in that environment, but as a daytime bomber interceptor, unless it has a significant altitude advantage, it will have issues catching PE-2s and A-20s. And if those PE-2s and A-20s decide to ditch bombs, turn around and take you on, you're in trouble. If the 13mm rear gun option is available, take it. It remains to be seen how effective it will be with its available field of fire, but in terms of firepower, it's got to be better than the old twin MG81 option that has adorned the A4 since day one. The bottom rear gunner is gone, which makes the C-6 vulnerable to low 6 approaches as well. The C-6 has merit as a unique historical addition to the game, but in terms of efficacy as a heavy fighter or bomber interceptor, the BF-110G2 with 2 or 4 MG-150-120s is just a much better option. As a ground attack platform, however, while I wouldn't say it's exactly a game changer, its superior strafing capability and bomb loadouts more powerful than those available on the BF-110 means the Ju-88 C-6 fills in a critical gap in the Axis ground attacker toolbox between the Ju-88A4 and the BF-110. Thanks for watching. This is HVB. Peace out.